Imagine, if you will, a volcano so powerful it darkened the skies for years, plunging the world into a chilling twilight and unleashing famine across continents. This isn't the realm of fiction, but honestly, the raw, untamed power of our own planet. So prepare yourselves as we reveal the top 10 most mysterious volcano eruptions ever recorded. Our story begins in what is now Indonesia on the island of Sumbawa in April of 1815. Here, Mount Tambora, a stratovolcano that had slumbered for centuries, awoke with a violence that remains to this day the most powerful volcanic eruption in recorded human history. The initial explosion was heard over 1,600 miles away, a deafening roar some mistook for cannon fire. The mountain literally blew itself apart, collapsing into a vast caldera. It ejected an astonishing volume of ash rock gas into the highest reaches of the atmosphere. 68 years after Tambora, the Earth unleashed its fury once more in the Sunda Strait of Indonesia. This time, the culprit was the volcanic island of Krakatoa. On August 27, 1883, it produced a series of 4 colossal explosions, culminating in a cataclysmic blast that remains one of the loudest sounds ever produced on our planet. The noise was so immense, it was clearly heard by people on the island of Rodrigues, nearly 3,000 miles across the Indian Ocean. The final, gargantuan explosion generated an atmospheric shockwave, a pressure pulse that raced outwards at the speed of sound, circling the planet at least 3 times. Some instruments recorded up to 7 passages. We travel now far back in time, to the Roman Empire and the beautiful Bay of Naples in 79 AD. Here, the wealthy, bustling city of Pompeii thrived in the fertile shadow of what its inhabitants believed to be a simple mountain. They had no word for volcano. A colossal column of gas, ash, pumice was ejected miles into the sky, forming a dark cloud that blotted out the sun. The eruption column collapsed, sending pyroclastic surges, superheated avalanches of gas and ash racing down the mountainside at hurricane speeds. This scorching cloud engulfed Pompeii in an instant. The fine ash settled like a thick blanket, perfectly preserving the city and its victims, a lost world frozen at the moment of destruction. For much of the 20th century, volcanology had focused on the classic vertical eruption model. But on May 18, 1980, in Washington State, USA, Mount St. Helens would violently rewrite the textbooks. For 2 months, the mountain showed unrest. Earthquakes shook its foundations, and its northern flank bulged outwards at a rate of 5 feet per day. At 8:32 a.m., a magnitude 5.1 earthquake triggered the largest landslide in recorded history. The entire northern face slid away. This uncorking produced a lateral blast, not vertical but sideways, a superheated cloud of ash, gas, and rock exploding outward at over 300 miles per hour, flattening 230 square miles of forest. The eruption sent an ash column 15 miles high and forced scientists to completely reevaluate eruption monitoring and hazards. In the remote, unpopulated wilderness of the Alaska Peninsula, the 20th century witnessed its most voluminous volcanic eruption, yet for years its true source remained a complete mystery. In June 1912, a cataclysmic event occurred. It expelled 30 times more magma than Mount St. Helens in 1980. For 3 days it spewed ash, blanketing the region. Kodiak, over 100 miles away, lay in darkness so profound a lantern at arm's length was invisible. Explorers first blamed Mount Katmai, whose summit collapsed. But decades later, ash mapping showed the thickest ash 6 miles away, at Novarupta, the newly discovered vent. The eruption drained a shared magma chamber beneath Katmai, causing its summit to collapse while the main event occurred at Novarupta, a geological case of mistaken identity. On the French Caribbean island of Martinique, the city of Saint-Pierre was known as the Paris of the West Indies. In the spring of 1902, the volcano began to stir. It sent out minor ashfalls, filled the air with sulfur, and even unleashed swarms of insects and snakes. Despite these signs, authorities downplayed the danger. On the morning of May 8th, Ascension Day, Mount Pelées peak tore open. Instead of a vertical column, a dense, superheated cloud, a nuée ardente, detached and hugged the ground. It raced toward Saint-Pierre at over 100 miles per hour. Within 2 minutes, the city was incinerated. Nearly 30,000 people perished. Ships in the harbor burned and sank, buildings flattened. From the smoldering ruins, a single mystery remained: survival. Ludger Silberus, a prisoner in a stone cell, somehow lived. his cell acting as a makeshift bomb shelter. We now journey to the Aegean Sea, to the beautiful Greek island of Santorini. Its whitewashed villages cling to the rim of a vast, sea-filled caldera. Around 1600 BC, the island, then Thera, hosted an advanced Bronze Age Minoan settlement. When it erupted, it blew the heart out of the island, with force estimated many times that of Krakatoa, triggering colossal tsunamis across the Aegean. The Minoan settlement of Akrotiri was buried under thick pumice and ash, a Bronze Age Pompeii, its frescoes and architecture preserved for millennia. The greatest mystery: did the memory of Thera seed the myth of Atlantis? Final proof remains elusive, but echoes of this catastrophe resonate in legend. Our journey into the deep past takes us to Sumatra, Indonesia, and to an event of almost unimaginable scale. Here, approximately 74,000 years ago, a supervolcano erupted, blowing a hole in the Earth's crust over 60 miles long. The Toba supereruption was the largest volcanic event of the last 2 million years. Today, its placid lake belies that violence. It may have triggered a volcanic winter lasting a decade and a 1,000-year cooling period. Ash from Toba has been found as far away as Africa. Genetic evidence suggests a dramatic population bottleneck. Perhaps only a few thousand people survived. Did Toba bring our ancestors close to extinction? The question remains fiercely debated. In Japan, a nation forged by volcanic fire, Mount Unsen on the Shimabara Peninsula has a long and deadly history. In 1792, following a series of eruptions, a far greater disaster brewed. Several months after the main eruption ceased, a massive earthquake shook the region. The eastern flank of the Mayuyama Dome catastrophically collapsed, sending enormous volumes of rock into the Ariake Sea. The sudden water displacement generated a mega tsunami, waves over 300 feet high that bounced across the bay, striking shores from multiple directions, devastating coastal communities. Over 15,000 lives were lost. The mystery of Unzen lies in delayed sector collapse and ongoing seismic instability, a deadly puzzle still studied today. Our final mystery brings us into the 21st century to Iceland, the land of fire and ice. In 2010, Eyjafjallajökull captured the world's attention. After a small preliminary eruption, the main event began in April when the eruption moved beneath the central ice cap. Hot magma interacting with glacial meltwater produced unusually fine abrasive ash. Sharp, glassy particles propelled into the jet stream. The ash drifted directly toward Europe's busy airspace. Faced with an invisible threat to jet engines, aviation authorities closed airspace, canceling over 100,000 flights and stranding millions. The event exposed modern vulnerability and left us wondering what would happen if larger neighbors like Katla awoke. From the year without a summer to the city frozen in time, from the sound that circled the globe to the ash cloud that grounded a continent, these stories are etched into our planet's crust and human history. The mysteries they leave behind drive science forward. Each core sample, each satellite image, each ancient ruin brings us closer. But with each answer, new questions arise. The Earth holds its secrets close. The next great mysterious eruption is not if, but when and where. The Earth has spoken before, and it will speak again. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the fire. If you found these stories as fascinating as I do, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. It helps us continue to explore these incredible topics.